All right. Hello to those of you who are going to end up watching this on YouTube. My name's Phil Gallagher. I run Thraben University, and tonight we're going to be streaming with some death and taxes. Oh, there's sound. Yeah, sorry, it took me a second to just get started here. I was flipping some tabs. Anyway, my name's Phil Gallagher. I run Thraben University, and we're going to be playing some death and taxes tonight. But in continuing with the experimentation I've been doing, we're going to try something a little bit different. So last stream, we 4-1'd with a very weird deck that maxed out on Hallowed of the Spirit Keeper and Cataclysm, including some oddball cards like Dunes of the Dead. So, what did I learn from that? Honor of the Pure has continued to be impressive, as has Hallowed Spirit Keeper. The rest of that shell was maybe not good. Holy Light was, or excuse me, not Holy Light. Cataclysm was too slow to play in the main deck successfully. It was awkward with Thalia. It won us some matches in spots where other cards could have won us the match pretty easily. Like, we wrecked Reanimator with Cataclysm, but we can wreck Reanimator with a lot of things. And I like this portion of the deck. If you've been watching Mark Koenig's channel, Bafra's channel, he's been playing around a lot with the Hallowed Spirit Keeper shell. I've thought for a long time that enchantments were a good way to attack the format. So I'm going to continue testing this for a little while to see if this is good. I'm not really sure if at the end of the day what I'm doing here and what Mark's been trying out is better than traditional D&T. And so I want to kind of explain some of the pros and cons. So one of the pros of this build and other builds like it is that you get to not lose tempo to the Stoneforge Mystic package. And what I mean by that is that if you pay 2 mana for a Stoneforge, 2 mana to put in a piece of equipment, and 2 more mana to equip that piece of equipment, you might lose 6 mana worth of investment to something like a Fatal Push. So this build doesn't have that. The issue, though, I think that has been with a lot of my builds that I've been trying out, and many of Mark's builds, is that unless you go into more colors, you're kind of hurting for 2-drops. So, Revoker hasn't felt great to me recently, just kind of with the metagame where it's at. It's not awesome against Checkpile because it just dies. It's not awesome against Delver because they only have Deathbright Shaman as a target. So I'm going to try out some Canonist and Spirit of the Labyrinths in order to help fill the 2-drop slot that is lost by losing the Stoneforge Mystics and the Jitte, along with the Honor of the Pure, so that we end up with a similar amount of 2-drops. Now, a few of those can't be vialed in, but, you know, c'est la vie, so it goes. And I want to explain some of my other card choices here, because some of these are going to look weird. A few people in the chat have already been giving me some crap about this, but Aerial Responder. Red Twister was posting on the source about how he was testing Aerial Responder, and he was really liking it. And this was a card I really liked in the Soldier Stompy shell. But in that shell, you had the possibility of making it bigger. Well, if I start playing Honor of the Pure, when this becomes a 3/4 Flying Vigilant Lifelinker, it's all of a sudden way scarier, because then it can attack through and wall Delver. Well, at least we know that Serra Avenger is a good 2-drop, so let's get rid of it, and then we'll play Aerial Responder. Yeah, basically. So Serra Avenger would be a fine card in this slot, and maybe even more reasonable. In this shell, where I'm playing Honor of the Pures, I want to maximize on my number of creatures that are vigilant, so that I get both offensive and defensive boosts from Honor of the Pure. So I have the Aerial Responders, a Brimaz, and 2 Hallowed Spirit Keepers. And when you're playing Honor of the Pure, all of these creatures get better. Obviously, all your creatures get better, minus this one of Phyrexian Revoker, which I'm still begrudgingly keeping in the deck, because The mirror is a problem for this build, I think. Lifelink is for casuals. You know that, Phil. That is not true. I don't know that. That's why I played a 4 Auriok champion build last week. Alright, what did I call this one? Honor the Pure Taxes? Yeah, Honor the Pure Taxes. Alright. So, I think this has promise. We'll kind of see how it goes. There's some cute combos here, right? Like, you know, Brimaz goes and makes 2/2 tokens instead of 1/1 tokens. That matters. And Hallowed Spirit Keeper, when it dies, makes 2/2 tokens instead of 1/1 tokens. That's huge. So most of the sideboard is stock stuff for D&T. Yeah. To be fair, Auriok Champion was really, really good in that stream. We ended up losing some very, very narrow games to Grixis Delver, unfortunately, but it definitely overperformed. It trounced the heck out of some young Pyromancers. Whiskey Hughes, why not 3 Caracas? My gut feeling told me that I should play 2 in this deck, and I feel like that's a stability thing. To explain further, I have 11 white creatures here, and if I want to rely on some of these cards heavily, I feel like I should just be playing as many basic planes as possible, right? So if Aerial Responder, Brimaz, Hallowed Spirit Keeper, Mirran Crusader are all things that I want hitting the battlefield in the like Grixis Delver matchup, then the more solid my mana base is, the better. Can't you just play this deck in black? In black-white or just black? Because, like, I could do similar things in black, but maybe minus that and this cute, like, Hallowed Spirit Keeper combo. Mono black. Tyler, did you see my April Fool's Day stream where I streamed this pile? Is this not just gonna appear now? Moto, no. Moto, stop, please. Yeah, so my April Fool's Day stream was this pile. I don't think we 5-0. I think I 4-1'd with it. I will revisit this some stream because I do think the general idea that I was doing here it was very viable. I figured out some numbers I needed to tweak during the stream, but this is definitely a real tier 2.5 to 3 legacy deck right there. You played Maverick? What a joke deck. Yeah, Maverick, totally incapable of, you know, like, top-8ing a GP or something like that. Just kind of going back to the sideboard here for a minute. I am playing a Nanbo. I do really like Rest in Peace. I think it is one of the most powerful cards that White has to offer. It's not great with Hallowed Spirit Keeper, and they might be coming in for some of the same matchups, but this card is just so powerful that if I'm not maxing out on Spirit Keeper, it's probably fine to play them together. And since I cleared up some sideboard slots by putting some Canonists in the main deck, I added a Holy Light just as additional removal, and forget what else I added. I think the 3rd Path to Exile or the 5th Graveyard Hate card was the other thing that made it here. I personally really like Maverick. I think it's a fun deck to play. And I'm going to go ahead and just hop into a league here. Oh, neat. All the undefeated trophy thingies reset. Guess we better 5-0 with this then. Yeah, I got shot the Bob. That is one of the issues of playing like awesome sideboard cards in a non-blue deck. You don't have all the cantrips to find them. That's why all those things like random Dread of Nights and such feel so much better in a blue deck than elsewhere. I think my opponent plays Eldrazi. So I have a Swords to Plowshares in my hand, and a Wasteland. Keep. Yes, Honor of the Pure has repeatedly been impressive recently. It started out as a sideboard card, and it promoted itself all the way into the main deck. Super revoking that. Alright, so my opponent's going to get to copy a Cloud Post here. Then they'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana on their next turn. They'll potentially copy another Cloud Post and then have 9, maybe 10 mana on the following turn. At some point, I probably want a Recruiter for a Flicker Wisp to flicker this Chalice so I can get rid of one of their threats. I'm unsure whether or not just like trying to go aggro with Crusader is better, though. If I just play Crusader here, I hit for 6, that puts him to 10. Then I can play another Crusader, and that's just lethal in 2 turns. Assuming they just have some blanks. That might just be better than trying to play a long game against them. Alright, well, I'm glad you got to at least stop in for a little while, Mark. Ooh, man, opponent's best play is Trinisphere. I accept this. No, we cannot recruiter for Revoker. We have one Revoker. Also, we're just accepting that we can get totally hosed by some giant thing here. That's fine. We're putting them dead unless they have a big thing here. Yep, see? And that's kind of why I took the aggressive line. Alright, so we're playing against Big Eldrazi. I've never seen them not have it. Tyler, you should try being me. It works. Alright, so Cataclysm in to disrupt their mana, same with Council's Judgment, although it can also hit the big threats. Recruiter to find our stuff, Relic Warder to mess with their artifact mana, and that'll probably be good. What's it like, Phil? It feels pretty good. You just kind of flop it out and throw it on the table, and you hope they don't have the hammer. And a lot of times they don't, and it's okay. And then it feels real bad when they have the hammer, and you just accept it and move on. Alright, so let's figure out what's bad. So Spirit's not great. Canonist's not great. Mom's not great. Most of the rest of this stuff is reasonable. So my opponent's playing a colorless deck. We'll get rid of Moms first and go from there. I guess we'll get rid of Canonist and keep Spirit just because it has one more point of power. I could consider bringing in Path to Exile over Swords to Plowshares, actually. My opponent probably doesn't have basic lands. I don't think I want supplemental removal, because they probably have some amount of early to mid-range targets, but not a billion. And I think I just want to be real aggressive and try to close out the games. Have you ever thought of playing Kess in D&D? That sounds like more of a Mark thing. Woo! Opponent didn't have turn 1 Chalice. Now I'm just kind of hoping to draw some more mana denial elements here. Oh, that probably means my opponent's not going to have a play this turn either. Neat. Wasteland. Nope. That's fine. Thought not. Thought not. That might get my Council's Judgment. It probably takes Council's Judgment or Recruiter. Yep. Don't really want to be drawing more lands. So I can get a Spirit, a Revoker, or the Canonists are still in the deck and deploy it this turn. Don't really want to do any of that yet. I can just play Crusader here because it can trade with the Thought-Knot Seer to keep my opponent from attacking, or attack into the Thought-Knot Seer safely, and then go like Recruiter for Flicker Wisp, Recruiter next turn. I think I like that. I haven't done much for disrupting my opponent's mana this game, unfortunately. A Wastelander Report would have gone a long way here. That's big. Alright, well I can revoke that. Yeah, I 4-1'd with the Cataclysm build, but I basically could have 4-1'd without the Cataclysms or the Dunes of the Dead in my deck. Hey Phil, just getting in. What's being played tonight? We are playing a Death and Taxes deck that's mono-white and includes main deck Honor of the Pure. Deal. Take your mana. Alright, that's bad. Zenthic, the whole deck list is below stream and is accurate. What else do you have? Oh, dry! Alright, I don't think I can beat Ballista and Ugin and Endbringer. I would really need Cataclysm. I might be able to beat it with Cataclysm, but otherwise I don't see it happening. We're trying without the Stoneforge Mystic package. So I'll take 5, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, alright, I can concede here. I'm not beating that. Maybe I do play 2 more removal spells over the Spirit of Labyrinths. It's bad against the opposing Chalice if my opponent keeps them in. Doesn't really do much, like, of anything against their deck. But then I'd be pretty low on early aggressive creatures. Four removal spells is probably plenty. My opponent drew a decent number of creatures that game, but a lot of their endgame probably relies on like the Ugins and the Olamogs and the All Is Dusts of the world. And I would really like to close out games before we get to that point. This has some disruption in the form of Thalia. If I draw another land, like just playing like Thalia into Spirit into Honor of the Pure can get pretty aggressive. Kind of rather have like an Ether Vial or Wasteland in hand, though. This one's probably a mulligan here. But it's real close. With a land, this is fine. With a Wasteland or a Port, this is fine. The Vial, this hand becomes insane. I guess since my deck list doesn't have as many like Revokers and such for this matchup, like this is kind of like what I should expect from hands for this matchup, and I should just go ahead and keep this. It's not optimal. And continues to get more awkward. Evening, Mealmaster. Also, just want to say thank you for all the content you produce for D&T. I'm just getting into Legacy with D&T, and it's been a huge help. I'm glad. I'm really glad. You know, that's why I do this sort of stuff, is to... this is actually kind of good for me, because I have another backup Thalia. You know, this is why I do it. I'm a teacher, and I enjoy teaching, and I think there needs to be better resources out there for Magic than what's out there. Evening. Alright, so my opponent has 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 mana next turn. So that means I'm in trouble. Kind of have to hope my opponent has nothing. I'm going to play the Ether Vial for long-term advantage, because I have a feeling things are going to tip in my opponent's favor this turn. Alright, opponent has basically infinite mana. Okay, opponent does not have a lot of gas. So I just need to rip a land, let my Thalia die, Council Judgment away the Endbringer, and I'm actually in really good shape. I'm actually going to try to kill my Thalia here so I can play Honor of the Pure. Because Honor of the Pure will protect my future creatures from this Endbringer. It's really unfortunate that this Endbringer can just, like, draw my opponents a whole bunch of cards and get them out of the, you know, the situation they're in. Because, like, as of last turn, they didn't have a lot of gas. Yeah, see, that's what they're doing. I'm not really sure whether or not drawing a card with Endbringer there is better than doming me for 5. I personally would have attacked for 5 and then drawn on my turn. But maybe that's just me. Of course. Phil, you don't need lands. You don't need to cast this Council's Judgment on the Endbringer. You just need to cast more Honor of the Pures. And apparently they're mismatched for value. That's okay. We'll get him now. Get him when he tries to draw that card with Endbringer. What matchups is Aerial Responder supposed to help? The sort of things like... look at all that mana. Sort of things like Grixis Delver. Ho ho ho! Giant 5/3 Spirit of the Labyrinth to the rescue. No, this is game 3. Still can't draw a land to save my life. So I guess I can attack and offer the trade with Endbringer. My opponent probably won't take that. They'll just use it to draw a card, because they can still draw a card on my turn. And then I'll probably Flicker Wisp it out on my end step to give it Summoning Sickness. Spirit of the Labyrinth was a leftover that just remained in the deck. I did not have enough cards to bring in. So I'm going to go ahead and pass priority. They'll draw a card. Oh, they didn't draw a card. Oh, maybe they don't know how Spirit of the Labyrinth works. That's awesome. So what do I want to do? I can just put in a Flicker Wisp and, like, flicker out one of their mana rocks for the turn. I can trade with the Endbringer here and get rid of it, which is probably good in case my opponent figures out, like, what the heck is going on with that. I should probably just get rid of it. Like, get rid of it, flicker my opponent's Cloud Post in case they play another land, and yeah, I think I'll do that. Take the hit and two-turn clock them. I don't know if I'm supposed to take that hit because, like, this Endbringer can still, like, make my stuff not block and whatnot. Can't, like, not attack or block. So I don't actually think I am on a real two-turn clock. Yeah, so this taps for 3 mana. Dynamo taps for 3 mana, potentially more with Voltaic Key. Let's send a Cloud Post out. All right, you've got to have enough mana for, like, whatever you're doing. Okay. That's fine. Again, very, very happy I took the line I did, now that my opponent is always dusting me. Oh, they were still in combat, I see. Thank you. Never can draw a land here. So if I recruit her, I can recruit her for, like, a Thalia or a Revoker. So my opponent currently has... Alright, just assuming they're lands, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They have 7 mana off lands alone, so getting, like, Recruiter and stopping one of these things isn't the best. I'm not going to try to fight them on the mana front. I think I'm just going to pass the turn and see if I need to, like, Recruiter for Revoker at their end step. Alright, finally. Again, I can attack mana, but I don't think that's something that's particularly useful to do. It's just going to be an untap of something. Ooh, Warping Whale the Recruiter in response to trigger. How about not? My opponent probably should have waited until I searched and like did exactly this before making their decision for what they wanted to do, but it's not where we're at. One, two, three, four creatures in graveyard. I would consider getting a Hallowed Spirit Keeper here. That way, if my opponent just like always dusts me or something like that, I can produce a bunch of spirits. But I think I just want to get another Flicker Wisp. Its utility is just huge. Or maybe I get that now. I can't get another Flicker Wisp. Yeah, Hallowed Spirit Keeper seems solid. If I need to get a Revoker, maybe I'm supposed to get Revoker because I can't like get and cast Revoker next turn if my opponent plays something like Ugin. But if they play Ugin, I can just like try to Flicker Wisp it out and kill them, or Council's Judgment it. Yeah, I'll get a Hallowed Spirit Keeper. I think I've got the Council's Judgment for Ugin, so I think I'm already safe. I'm gonna get something that plays around all his dust. Yeah, so they can do that for 3, wipe my board. I can Council Judgment the Ugin. Alright. Did not play around second Warping Whale as last card in hand. That's annoying. So if this Ugin pluses, what does it go to? Goes to 5. Starting loyalty is 4. So I guess on my end step, I flicker out the Ugin and attack it down to 1 with a Hallowed Spirit. Alright, well, that's happening. I think I let them plus the Ugin. I play Hallowed Spirit Keeper on their end step. I attack them to 11. I play a second Hallowed Spirit Keeper. I flicker out Ugin, and then I kill Ugin. I think that's my line. Because I don't really care if they just, like, lightning bolt me with Ugin. That doesn't matter. Yeah, Eugene's pretty annoying here. Well, actually, he wasn't. The warping whale that protected him was. Eugene is one of the community's nicknames for Ugin. God damn it. That is beyond annoying. Because Hallowed Spirit Keeper doesn't die now, it gets exiled. Okay, that's fine. Until they have yet another Warping Whale, and they just exile this Revoker, and I cry myself to sleep. Yeah, I mean, I did successfully kill an Ugin, and then I stopped a second Ugin. We'll see if it's good enough, or my opponent just, like, drew, like, Walking Ballista or something annoying here. Oh, yep, there's the Warping Whale I mentioned, folks. Alright, now we need to draw, like, Cataclysm. Oh, great, they drew Eye of Ugin. That's unbeatable. I cast that? 3, 6, 9. Yeah, they can cast that. Alright, we're dead. I'm just thinking real quick to make sure there's no possible way I can win this. I guess if I draw land this turn, Cataclysm next turn, or vice versa. Alright, so what if I draw Cataclysm? If I draw Cataclysm, I just die to the Ugin. And I can't bounce that thing, that's not profitable. No, okay. So I can bounce Ugin at my opponent's end step, and then draw Cataclysm. Assuming my opponent doesn't have anything else relevant to tutor up with Eye of Ugin in Magical Christmas Land. or sorry, Ulamog. Bounce Ulamog at their end step, then draw Cataclysm to wipe their board. But I have to take the 10 and lose 20 cards here. But maybe those 20 cards will not be Cataclysms. Alright, none of those were Cataclysms. Alright, Ugin, put us to 6. It would be epic. It would be very great. But my opponent should just have, like, literal anything here. Like, a second creature, you know, something like a Thought-Knot Seer or something like that would be very bad for me. And I guess I should have played out the Aerial Responder for that reason, but if I play out the Aerial Responder, it just gets bolted by Ugin. Ooh, Ballista. Is Ballista just lethal? 3, 6, 9... Yeah, I think Ballista's just lethal. Eight. Yeah, Ballista's lethal. That's unfortunate. Just for giggles, just for giggles. It would not have been Cataclysm. Womp womp. Okay, just to... I guess I'll start joining this, and then I'll show the deck list. Just to show the deck list to everyone else. We're trying another Honor of the Pure-based deck tonight. You know, just kind of the Honor of the Pure, Hallowed Spirit Keeper combo. I felt like we played well that game. I felt like we played to a lot of outs, and we just did not get there, and that's okay. I've always liked Aerial Responder. I really like the card in Soldier Stompy, because like you can grow it there with Darwin Warchief. So if I'm going to play an Honor of the Pure-based deck, vigilant creatures like Hallowed Spirit Keeper and Brimaz and Aerial Responder get better by a large margin because you get like a defensive and offensive boost. This hand looks awkward. I'll take another look at it in a second. So I don't have actually any creatures to put in with these Aether Vials, but I still think this is a keep. I have a lot of stuff to do with my mana, and a lot of time to draw creatures. When I draw the creatures, I will get to put them into play. I don't know that Eye of Ugin was a healthy card for Modern. Card was really good there. That was kind of a big Eldrazi winter. And if you liked doing that in Modern, the Legacy deck just does it like so much better. Ponder, no shuffle with the Ponder. I can play a Vial and hold up Swords. Or I can just jam this Honor of the Pure. If I just play a Vial now, I can have 1 on 2, 1 on 3, and then every creature is free. Just forever. That's probably worth it. My opponent plays a creature I don't actually know if I'll Swords to Plowshares it on their turn. I might just wait and do it on my turn to play around a Daze. Alright, now I'll play one of these now. Perfect draw. Alright, now I just need to draw some creatures. And they'll be big bigs. Preferably a 2-drop, so that I can play a 2-drop and protect it with Flicker Wisp. Current play is just Flicker Wisp out my opponent's land to deny them mana for their turn. Hopefully I can find something better to do than just that, though. Alright, we'll just go on the mana denial plan. With our lone Flicker Wisp. So everyone starts out by saying, if I'm crazy enough to build a second Legacy deck. And then it starts going to, like, when I'm ready to build my next Legacy deck. And then it becomes, I guess I'll spend $50 to build a new Legacy deck. By a creature, did I mean another Swords? Yeah, I guess that's what I wanted all along, because that's what I drew. Yep, Bosk, that's exactly how the cycle ends. You just end up with, like, infinite frickin' Legacy decks. Wow, no bolt for this Wisp. Hello, young Pyromancer. Got a probe? I've got a Swords to Plowshares. You want a Daze. Yes. Wow, was an elemental token really worth that Daze? I don't think so. Unless they need cards in graveyard for Gurmag Angler. What do they have? They would have it 5 in there instead. Alright. Alright, maybe that's a long-term Gurmag Angler thing. Good thing I've got swords, plowshares. I'm gonna go ahead and play this Plains. That way I can play around a Spell Pierce on my Swords to Plowshares. Yes, I am drawing poorly in that I am not drawing creatures, yes. But I have drawn 3 Swords to Plowshares. Alright, that's annoying. But I should be able to race that pretty darn easily. I think my opponent has Spell Pierce. So I think I'm going to cast his Swords to Plowshares, targeting a young Pyromancer, and then it's going to get Spell Pierced. Nope. Oh, okay, I see. They just wanted to guarantee that they got a token. If they have an Angler left after this, so be it. But I can't let them just, like, make infinite elementals. I am on a 5-turn clock from the true name. Not a good draw. I might need to hold back my Thalia. If I just swing in with both, my opponent chump blocks, cracks me back for 5. I have my opponent on a 4-turn clock with the Flicker Wisp alone, which is a faster clock than my opponent. I can port them off of main phase red. Can't port them off of Gurmag Angler. Can't port them off of something like Deathrite Shaman. I really need to just draw some, like, another flyer or something like an aerial responder to help me race. But maybe I am supposed to stay aggressive, because if they play a Gurmag Angler next turn, I'm not beating that currently. If my opponent doesn't have the Angler and my read was just wrong, then it is probably just better to get that attack in while I can. because the Angler becomes problematic. And I'd rather have them with a board that has one fewer elemental token if they do play the Angler. Yeah, Sebastian. Brimaz in Honor of the Pure is real cute. Alright, that makes me feel like my opponent does have the Gurmag Angler I suspected a couple turns back. Fork Bolt. Alright, well at least that's not getting both of my creatures since I have the Honor of the Pure. I can't overstate how insane drawing Recruiter of the Guard would be. Well, that does basically nothing. No, I say it does basically nothing because my opponent is going to hit me for 8 here and then I'm dead the next turn. Or I have to throw away one of these creatures in order to keep my opponent on a longer clock. I guess if I take out the Gurmag Angler here, I can draw an Aerial Responder, which would beat their board. I guess that's what I need to play to. And just, like, absolutely lose to a removal spell. But if it's like a Lightning Bolt, I'd be losing to that anyway. So this attack would put me to 7. Their next attack would put me to 2. Yeah, I think I need to... I either need to chump or trade with Angler here. If I chump with Thalia, then Mom kind of deals with it. But I should probably just get it off the board. Yeah, I'm gonna try to trade. Bosk, I don't know if we were ever in good shape, right? Like, until this turn, we just had, you know, 2 creatures all game. Alright, so my opponent attacks me for 3, I go to 4. Really effectively 3 with that elemental token, that'll get through. The Deathroot Shaman drains me, the Deathroot Shaman drains me again. I'm dead. Wow. Yeah, just based on my draws, I could not have possibly won this game. Like, this coming up is absurd. That was really disappointing. Alright. We'll probably go Paths in, Holy Light in, I think 1 Judgment in, and then probably like Canonist out, Provoker out, Spirits out, and then play all the rest of this stuff. Alright, so here's the same hand as last time, but, you know, arguably better since it has some mana denial lands. Let's hope I draw some creatures this game. Oh, I do hate Spirit of the Labyrinth. I think the card's garbage. But I accept there are some shells where Spirit of the Labyrinth is better than others. Like here I'm playing it over Revoker because it is white and we're playing in honor of the pure deck. I can hate a card and still play it. Like that's not mutually exclusive. Opponent did not shuffle. Do I want to get wastelanded? If I play Port and I get wastelanded, do I care? Probably not. If I don't draw a creature or my opponent doesn't play a spell, then my next turn is going to be like Port and Wasteland. I don't want to Wasteland their Trop, it's their worst land. I think I'm just going to play this out. And just back to the Spirit of the Labyrinth note. If you make Spirit of the Labyrinth a 4/2, all of a sudden it becomes a much more reasonable Magic card, right? Because then it can attack and live through some things like an Elemental token or something of that nature. It just doesn't die to everything that has 1 power like Deathrite Shaman all of a sudden. Opponent shuffled there. Opponent not letting me wasteland one of their good lands here. Of course we don't draw creatures. Yeah, Spirit of the Labyrinth, if it was a 2/2, is totally different from Spirit of the Labyrinth as a 3/1. At least in the context of Legacy. Yeah, we're on 26 creatures here. Have not drawn a creature and had the same problem last game. We're running just as many creatures as normal D&T runs, because instead of Batterskull, Jitte, Sword of Fire and Ice, we have 3 Honor of the Pures. And, like, I know we board out some creatures for the post-sideboard games, but still seeing just, like, none is rough. Like, I boarded out 5 creatures, so I have 21 creatures. So, like, I just haven't drawn any. It's rough. Alright, do I want to tick this up? Yeah, I want to tick that up. Okay. Not the creature I would like to draw here. because it's just very poor in the before I have other creatures around. Like, it's just a 3/2 that makes a 1/1 when it dies right now. That's not what I want. Or sorry, I guess it's a 4/3 that makes a 2/2 when it dies. Sorry, my mistake. Wastelanding my opponent's fetch land may have taken them off of everything. Yeah, wastelanding that fetch was great. Guess I'll play it. If I'm just gonna like flop a true name here, yep. Frustrating. I'm not prepared to just create a 2/2 flyer yet. You know, this kind of keeps the Hallowed Spirit Keeper from attacking. And beginning next turn, I can just like use Mom to get aggressive with it if I so desire. Diabolic Edict me. I guess I'll just sacrifice the Mom. The Spirit Keeper is really good long term. This is absurd. I'm not entirely sure how my opponent is expecting to race the Spirit Keeper. This is absolutely ridiculous. And I'm not really one to complain very much about draws. But two games in a row, seeing 2 creatures a game, it's very tilting. Of course. Of course. This is just a giant old cosmic joke at Phil's expense. I'm just gonna wait to remove that on my turn. I have plenty of mana. And I'd rather not get got by some combination of like Spell Pierce and Daze. Because I feel like my opponent's hand has to be full of like that sort of stuff. Now I think I'm... Yeah, no, I'll still wait. No, you can usually expect to draw creatures. We're just not. That hand was absolutely insane. At least I 2-turn my opponent with Mirran Crusader, and they have me on a 3-turn clock, so I'm winning the race currently. But they'll probably just Lightning Bolt me, and it's irrelevant. Fantastic. Well, I have to attack. The attack is just forced. Well, I guess not forced. If I just attack and they take it, they just have 6. I guess I have to play like they have like literal absolutely nothing. And like I trade the Mom for Young Pyromancer. The Delver does not flip. Because if I just like take a hit from True Name here, I go to 2. Yeah, I just have to play like my opponent will do literal nothing. Alright, I'm dead to a Bolt, I'm dead to a Fatal Push, I'm dead to most spells, honestly. Just because, like, they create another thing. Yeah, like, I feel like this deck list is pretty good. But, like, and I feel like my opening hands for both games this match were amazing. It was just very frustrating that I didn't draw creatures. Okay. Alright, I guess that's lethal too, so it doesn't matter. Alright, back in we go. So, I boarded out 5 creatures, boarded in 5 removal spells. Of note, I didn't draw any of these 5 cards either, so it doesn't matter that I boarded these out. I didn't see any of these, and it's just disappointing. So even if those were still creatures, I wouldn't have drawn them. Like, if either of those games I had drawn like an aerial responder or a recruiter of the guard, or like even a Brimaz would have been fine. I just absolutely take over those games. Ugh. That's a loss to variance there. Yeah, we gotta run back this league hard. I'm 0-2 right now, so we'll do the good old salty run back. If we ever get paired. Tilt, 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 tilt. It's like you and your opponent both drew poorly, but you drew poorlier. Sounds about right. Playing against a good player. Alright, awesome. So we're playing against Miracles. We have a hand with too many lands, but it has a Vial and a Recruiter, so I'm kind of priced into keeping it. How am I doing, Phil? Well, I'm a little tilted. I'm not going to lie to you. I think we drew like 6 creatures. Okay, that's a really good draw to like round out this hand. I think we drew like 6 creatures over the course of the last match. So, we lost that round, obviously. Oh, I'm playing against your neighbor? It's a really good neighbor to have. No, the hand's bad, but it's not that bad. Like, against Miracles, you really want to have ways to go and disrupt their mana, and that's something I have. Like, I have a Vile start with Rishadan Port, so I can go and mess with my opponent's mana while ticking the Vial up and never expose my creatures to removal spells. Sure, but ask the same question of, like, does my hand look good if I draw spells? If my opponent plays back to basics in their deck, I'd rather play more planes than anything else. Vile in the honor of the pure. Strong, strong. Got infinite lands going on over here. So I guess this turn is Hardcast Recruiter, get Flicker Wisp, Recruiter, get Flicker Wisp, play Honor of the Pure, try to race Mentor. Or I guess let's reverse that. Let's Vile in Recruiter, get Flicker Wisp. That way I at least get a 1/1 if my opponent has a counterspell. To some degree, I can either play around Jace or Council's Judgment here. I think I'm going to tap down a white source to just decrease the chance that some of my stuff gets swords. Alright, it was irrelevant which I chose. Oh. The interface changed. Would you try the newly spoiled 3 legend with the Anthem effect? White, white, white is really hard to do. And for someone who asked, like, why didn't I just, like, jam the Flicker Wisp, like, immediately, it's because I wanted to play around a Terminus. That's why I set a stop on my opponent's draw step. Alright, so I need to stem the bleeding a little bit. I can whack my opponent for 8, but then they have a whole bunch of idiots left over. I can't get a aerial responder here. I can get a Canonist. I would have to cast that and just get another Flicker Wisp. I can get Flicker Wisp out the Mentor. Oh, what did I do? Apparently I got a Flicker Wisp. Well, that's good, because it's one of the things I wanted to do. No, destroy target tap creature. I wanted to hard cast the Flicker Wisp there, so I could vial something else in. This way, if my opponent like somehow casts something like the Supreme Verdict, or I lose a bunch of things in combat, I have Hallowed Spirit Keeper. It's also just lethal if my opponent somehow like Terminuses or something like that. Yep, see, I played around their Terminus by doing what I did. Spirit Keeper is in the deck because it's really good against the attrition-based matchups, like Check Pile, where the games go really, really, really long. It just goes and creates a bunch of tokens. Well, I feel like the only way I die is if I somehow take lethal during this attack. Spirit Keeper is way better if some stuff has to, like, trade in combat for me to stay alive. My opponent's also at 3 life, so the extra point of power from Mirran Crusader is definitely irrelevant, especially with my Honor of the Pure. Alright, so Hollow Spirit Keeper can trade with that. Guess Recruiter can trade with that. And I'll want to block all of these just to make sure that my opponent can't, like, Swords to Plowshares one of his own guys and present me with lethal. Yep. Alright. The full name of that card is Hallowed Spirit Keeper. Hallowed Spirit Keeper isn't the best in the white matchups because, like, the Terminus sends stuff to libraries, Swords to Plowshares send stuff to exile. So Hallowed Spirit Keeper isn't great here, so I'm going to go ahead and board one of those out. I don't have that many cards that I want to bring in for this matchup, so I only need to do some slight adjustments. Yeah, like, since my opponent can't beat me with a Terminus, with me taking the line that I took, the only way they can beat me is by killing me in combat, and the this hand is not very good. Kind of does nothing. Is this bad enough to mulligan? That's the actual question. It has a Council Judgment for a Jace. I'm not presenting any early pressure, but I'm on the draw. Reluctant keep. Hand is now acceptable. Not great, but acceptable. You'd keep in a Swords over a Spirit Keeper. Hand is now amazing. I will take the opportunity to just blow up my opponent's Tundra, though. Do I want to play a second Mom? I guess. I don't really have anything else going on. And if I draw, like, an Honor of the Pure and I want to start doing some beat down, it's an option. Like, I have to respect the possibility that at some point Mom can be a threat. Yeah, and I think I will just start pushing damage. My opponent has a Snapcaster Mage, and they want to trade Naked Snapcaster for a Mom. I 100% accept. Hey Phil, how are you liking the build without Stoneforge Mystic so far? I mean, let's put it this way. If I go to a serious event, I am not playing a build without Stoneforge Mystic. But the experimentation I'm doing is probably worthwhile. I'm not really drawing lands and spells in reasonable quantities tonight. I'm essentially testing whether or not an enchantment-based build is viable in the current metagame. Drawing a land for a Cataclysm would be absolutely disgusting here. I don't ask for much, but land for Cataclysm this turn would be amazing. Nope. No, I don't think anyone's tried like a halfway build like that. I think you either play a Stoneforge deck or you play an Honor of the Pure deck. I don't think you try to do both of those in the main deck. So if I protect this from blue, I might be forced to lose it in combat. if my opponent just like plays a couple of spells, or if they play a spell. If they play a spell and I block, no, I want to play it. I want to give this pro blue. I can give this pro blue and then trade it with Containment Priest so that my Vial will be live post Cataclysm, assuming I hit the land. I'll lose to Swords to Plowshares, but that's fine. I do kind of think my opponent has Force of Will, but we'll try. Alright. Now that I know they have Containment Priest as well as Mentor, I might play a Swords to Plowshares or two. So like I could trim one of those and maybe a Flicker Wisp, or like a Crusader, or a Responder. And play two swords. This hand's awkward. I can't cast any of these cards. I don't have any early pressure. I have some disruption, but nothing else to do with it. I think I'm going to mulligan this one and try to find something better. Like this hand just does nothing as is. Without a white source, it does literal nothing. I think I can do a lot better than this. This hand is very poor as well, but I'll keep it. It has a Cataclysm. Yes, I play a lot of Legacy. It's mostly Death and Taxes and Death and Taxes-like things, but I have pretty good range. I play almost nothing other than Legacy, though. Like, I think I've streamed, like, one cube deck, maybe two, but otherwise it's been 100% Legacy all the time. I guess while my opponent thinks, like, I played a bunch of D&T, of all flavors. I played Tin Fins, Reanimator, Enchantress, Red Stompy, Maverick, Mono Black Control, Soldier Stompy. That can go on the bottom. So, like, I've played a ton of decks, and I have experience playing a lot of stuff. That's an acceptable draw to buy it a turn. So Death and Taxes and Death and Taxes accessories. Yes, sounds about right. Volk is not a good land. That could be a bait, or they could actually be land light. I don't have a lot going on. Either way, buying time is probably good for me. I don't really know that I would have pulled the trigger on a Terminus for one creature there. Maybe they have a second. No. And that's why I played the WoW first. Alright, I have 3 different answers to Jace in hand. Let's see if I can draw lands to start deploying said answers. Probably not with my luck today. Yep, that about sums up today. Yep. I know. Oh, actually, that's good for me. They might just, like, put my lands on top. Which is what I want. I'm gonna do a quick check for Containment Priest. I mean, I've just drawn poorly for most of the night. It's been very, very, very unfortunate. Like, I have my best sideboard cards for the matchup, all 4 of them, but no way to deploy them. And it's... oh, great, wonderful. And it's not like my Wasteland decision changed any of that at all, right? Like, that doesn't cast Council of Judgment or Cataclysm here. This was also after a mulligan pitching a hand that was mediocre. I'm just gonna wrap this one up here. You know, I'm done with this match. So that's the 0-3. We are not cashing this league. I'm gonna play out the next 2. Unless I just continue to draw as poorly as I am. If the games keep going like this, I'm just gonna drop after the next one and and that's that. But like I have the same number of lands as I do in regular D&T. I have like the same ratio of like creature spells to non-creature spells and all of that. Just everything has gone abysmally. Like I've had so many insane draws at so many junctions this league, and everything has just gone wrong. Good luck coming my way. I hope now, because this league's been a disaster. Yeah, so that is the problem, right? Like, despite the fact that I'm losing these with terrible draws, I'm still almost winning all of them. Which means the idea has premise, and that's why I'm not dropping. Should not waste any luck on this league. Alright, that's fair. Alright, Thoughtseize me. Opponent could be any number of decks. Probably not going to get to play a Vial on turn 1, if I were to guess. But if my opponent's Reanimator, they might take the Swords to Plowshares. Revoker, you say? I hope that doesn't mean that they're like pile and they have like their main deck Liliana the Last Hope in hand or something like that. No, I don't think Thoughtseize is indicative of Storm. Like that's much more of a Duress or a Cabal Therapy deck. I wonder if my opponent is on Reanimator and they took that so that they could potentially draw 7 cards with the Grizzlebrand somewhere down the line. Opponent shuffles with the Ponder. Yeah, so we're probably looking at Pile or some like Bug Leovold style deck. And I bet they have a Planeswalker in hand, which is why they took Revoker. I bet they have like a Liliana the Last Hope or a Jace or something like that. I think I'm just gonna port them this turn. Oh, that's like super bad if they just like Abrupt Decay me though. Like if I go to port them and they decay this Vial, I lose so much tempo. So I should probably just play the Aethersworn Canonist to play around decay in that capacity. If they don't have the decay, though, and I port them, that's such a good turn. Because then I keep them from doing relevant things, and then I take the Vial up, I get the Canonist in for free. I can continue porting them while holding up Swords to Plowshares. I guess since I'm action light, if the Vial gets decayed, that's not the end of the world. I can just start casting my stuff. Alright, I talked myself into it. I also kind of think my opponent has Liliana Last Hope in hand. Like, they took that Revoker. They had to have taken that Revoker for a reason. And they haven't shown me any real reason yet. No, they're going to take my Canonist here. They're probably Food Chain. Yeah, I think they're Food Chain now. That's why the Revoker take makes sense. So I super messed up by not playing the Canonist. Well, maybe not. I don't know if I should have played around like yet another discard spell. Yeah, if I just like flop the Canonist into play and then pass, if they have like a decay or a push or something like that, it ends poorly for me. So this was fine overall. Oh look, lands. Breaking news. Opponent has good diversity here. I'll just take a blue one. Please don't play Baleful Strix. Alright, that's annoying. I'm just going to play the Aerial Responder this turn and hold up Swords to Plowshares. Back in my day, Shardless Agent was the mid-range deck of choice. Opponent just gave me a question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark in chat. Alright, well. I guess I Swords to Plowshares that, embarrassingly. And I'll do it before they get a chance to draw another card. Alright, fun fact chat. If you have Thalia and Canonist, you cast the Thalia first. Make your opponent pay more for a Force of Will if they have it. Oh yes, we have certainly determined that this is Aluren now. My initial idea that this was a food chain was a little bit off. Well, when I say initial idea, I mean like my idea from 2 turns ago. Initially, we weren't sure what they were on. The sort of like double Thoughtseize opener was a little bit ambiguous. I own Aluren. It's a fun deck. Probably won't stream with it. My friend Tyler does that enough, so I get my fix. Oh, come on! Why'd you have to have a Baleful Strix? Because that's an artifact that you can cast through Canonist. That's so annoying. And now I don't really want to attack with the Responder anymore. I'll attack with Thalia, and then my opponent will just, like, use a Cavern Harpy activation to bounce and, like, fog my turn. It's really annoying. Actually, do I just, like, let Aerial Responder trade with Baleful Strix? That's a real question. That might be correct. And just, like, keep my opponent from Baleful Strixing again and again and again and again. Yeah, I would accept that trade. If I just attack with Thalia, my opponent blocks with Cavern Harpy, pays a life, and bounces. If I attack with both of these, my opponent will block with Shardless Agent here. I'll protect this. I'm a little sad if they have exactly Abrupt Decay. It's a big question, like, how risky do I feel like I can be? My opponent is going to grind out this game way better than I am. So just, like, trying to close it might be in my best interest. I don't really want to give them 9 turns. No, I mean, I'm in trouble if they decay on their turn, right? Like, they have 2 mana open now, but on their turn they untap, and if I protect the Canonist, then they can decay it on their turn. So it's not my turn I'm worried about, it's their turn. I think I go for the attack. I think I just lose too much ground if I just keep waiting. Oh, sorry, there was a question a while back. What decks do you own on paper? I own enough that it is difficult to count what decks that I own at this point. Like, I own, I don't know, probably 24 or so legacy decks. I own most of the format staples. Alright, so there's the decay I was worried about. In paper, what is your planes of choice? Oh, second decay is really rough. As is drawing yet another planes. I use the lightning planes, so the same planes that is featured here, that is what I play on paper. So opponent is at 5. Even if they get Aluren, they are not going to get very many looks in order to, like, find the combo. I would love to draw a Mirren Crusader. Can't really trade Mom for Shardless Agent here. That's not worth it. I play a mix of Snow-Covered and regular for the card Predict. If they predict targeting me, I want to have a mix because Snow-Covered Plains and Plains technically have different names. Alright, I should be dead here. Yes. So, just for anyone who doesn't know how this works, here's how the combo works. My opponent plays Cavern Harpy and Parasitic Strix. Parasitic Strix enters and drains 2. They then bounce it with Cavern Harpy, and they repeat this process. It loses them 1 life in process, but they gain 2, so that's all fine. Alright, so I'll play Relic Warder. Is Holy Light good enough? Holy Light would get rid of Strix and Cavern Harpy. Getting Strix out of the way is not irrelevant. I can get rid of some other random idiots. That's a maybe. Council's Judgment and Recruiter are good. Cataclysm is even in consideration. I usually board Swords to Plowshares out for this matchup. They don't really have any actual targets that I want to remove, and it's very, very, very difficult to disrupt the combo with Swords to Plowshares. At least if your opponent is playing correctly. So anything else that's just, like, bad. Aerial Responder isn't great in the face of Baleful Strix, but many of my cards aren't great in the face of Baleful Strix. These are maybes. Where is our Trinisphere? Trinisphere would be good. I think I'll trim one aerial responder for the Holy Light, and I'm unsure about this Cataclysm. Like, getting rid of my opponent's lands is really, really, really good. But they can probably recover from it pretty easily because, like, they have Deathrite to re-accelerate, they have a bunch of value-oriented cards. Mixed feelings there. I think I'm going to leave it out because I don't really want to board out very many cards. Like, we lost that one, but I feel like my deck is okay suited to fight this. That's probably one too many lands, but, you know, that's the story of tonight. Yeah, Aluren is a hard matchup. Like, you can beat them, but good Aluren players are very scary to play against. I don't know if I'm supposed to play Thalia or Spirit first. I think it's Thalia since my opponent played Forest. I'm thinking if I want to attack here. My opponent could have something like a Fatal Push and get rid of Thalia. So I'll hold back. Master of drawing lands. Drawing more lands also feels way worse when you don't have, like, the Stoneforge Mystic to use as a mana sink. And that's one of the problems of, like, the non-Stoneforge Mystic builds. Is you just don't have a lot to do with your mana once you're out of, like, your primary gas. Joy. Well, I was planning on, like, making a really weird, like, attack in, cast Holy Light mid-combat attack, but it appears that is no longer necessary. I don't think I want to trade Spirit of the Labyrinth for Deathrite Shaman. Well, that doesn't work anymore. I can attack Spirit of the Labyrinth into Leovold. My opponent can block, I can protect, kill their Leovold, and then they could use removal spell on my Spirit. I don't know how I feel about that. It would probably be their whole turn, though. So one of the frustrating things about Spirit of the Labyrinth is you're not always sure how good it actually is. What is the reasoning behind not including Stoneforge Mystic? Essentially, you're trying to play around tempo loss. There's a lot of removal in the format, including things that can deal with artifacts right now. So in trying to not lose as many games to just, like, big tempo blowouts, that's one of the solutions. Is just, like, not let that happen. It's not a great Cavern Harpy for my opponent. Like, they probably cast it, but they either lose out on the 3 mana of the Leovold, or they bounce their Deathrite Shaman, and then they have to, like, redeploy that. Which I guess is fine. Master of Drawing Lands. It's frustrating that my opponent has the real ability to just like grind me out through Spirit of the Labyrinth. I haven't hated on Spirit of the Labyrinth yet tonight, so I might as well start doing that. Ha! No Abrupt Decay for you, sucker. Master of Lands, indeed. Time for me to register some Chrome Mox. Or sorry, Mox Diamond. Nice, 1-1. So time to play Soldier Stompy some more then? Maybe we just play like a deck that doesn't even have lands. Just have an Anger League and play Manaless Dredge. Just hate myself and my opponents. That's fair. Man of War, target Mother of Runes. Mom will protect itself. the Spirit of the Labyrinth that has been doing such a good job of holding down the fort. Yep. I was planning on trying to get a bigger blowout with this Holy Light, but I guess I kind of have to, like, take this here. That's my most favorite interaction in... God! How? How is it possible to draw this many lands over the course of a night? So that's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 lands to 5 spells this game. Awesome. I have a lot of favorite interactions in D&D. It's hard to pick just, like, one, but the whole, like, cast Recruiter, Flicker Wisp Recruiter, get another Flicker Wisp Recruiter, get another Flicker Wisp, that one never gets old. I enjoy that a lot. Yeah, I'll just take all of that. I want to protect this Thalia since it has first strike. If I just tap the Mom and my opponent, like, abrupt decays the Thalia, I'm probably just out of this game. I mean, I'm already in very bad shape now, just because, like, I flooded out so badly. Okay. Now I'm gonna get to do some things. Alright, so I have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 mana. So I can Recruiter for Recruiter, Recruiter for Mirran Crusader. Mirran Crusader with Pro Blue is 100% lethal on the next turn, unless they Deathrite Drain. Is there anything that's better than just fetching a Mirran Crusader, since they can Deathrite and stay alive? And Recruiter for Flicker Wisp. Flicker Wisp Recruiter, get something else that I could play on the following turn. I can Recruiter for Recruiter, Recruiter for Flicker Wisp Recruiter, get Mirran Crusader. Then I generate a whole bunch of bodies so I don't die to aggro. But that would let my opponent know the Mirran Crusader is coming and try to set up for it. Just probably Recruiter for Mirran Crusader is pretty darn good. I can't tutor Brimaz. You kind of want to get another Spirit? I don't know. Like, my opponent can just keep bouncing this Shardless Agent for value, so that's not the end of the world. Alright, let's start figuring this out. So we 100% start with this. We don't have Stoneforge. Sure, like, getting the Revoker to shut off Cavern Harpy is fine. But then my opponent still has, like, Death Rites and Leovolds and a whole bunch of mid-range stuff, so I think I need to get something that, like, actually kills them. And this Crusader boy does that. Oh, yeah, so, Modern Delver sucks. The deck list is below the stream. It's a little bit weird. Essentially, we're testing Honor of the Pure and more creatures in the place of the Stoneforge package. How have the aerial responders and honors been, and how much do you miss that? Essentially, we're 0-3 tonight. All of our matches have been close. I've drawn exceptionally poorly tonight. So maybe if I want to continue like this deck list, I need another mana sink for when I flood like I am doing tonight. Hey, don't joke too much about that Squadron Hawk. That is something that's on the list of things I'm considering playing in this shell. Alright, well, I'm gonna try to kill them, because they only left up a single green, so they can't eat twice. They can Abrupt Decay my Honor of the Pure to stay alive. I did it! Flagstones plus Mistveil Plains plus Squadron Hawk. That is something we could do. Oh, they can't Abrupt Decay because they can't gain life. Yeah, that's true. I missed that. How do I feel about Cataclysm? I kind of feel the same about Cataclysm as I did previously, where it's awkward because I think they can rebuild relatively quickly. But if the games are going long and they're playing out all of those lands, maybe it's good enough. Play Hikori, then when you flood out, you break the symmetrical effect. Ooh. Maybe I'm worried too much about the impact of whatchamacallit, Baleful Strix and I should just ignore that, like not play that Holy Light, cut another Responder because it's bad against Baleful Strix, and then play a Cataclysm. I could also cut the Brimaz. I guess both are good against the Shardless Agent portion of the deck, and both are bad against Strix. So maybe I play Responder because it can help stabilize my life total, but Brimaz is better against Leovold. Is there something else I want to cut instead? I guess Flicker Wisp is awkward because they don't have a ton of good Flicker Wisp targets, and I don't have as many either. So maybe we'll do that. Like, I definitely want to keep a couple to Recruiter Chain. Well, again, it's land heavy, but it has a Vial, and it has a serious game plan of, like, keep Vial, Crusader, and then cast a Cataclysm. So I'll keep this. Story of the night. Alright. I also only have 2 Karakuses in this deck. Let the record show. I do think Hallowed Spirit Keeper is really good. I think Honor of the Pure has performed so much better than I expected it to. I would consider playing Honor of the Pure in the sideboard of regular D&T, I think. I don't think I would go and play it in the main. I'm going to keep this Wasteland, I think, long-term, so that I can Wasteland post-Cataclysm. And I'm going to play out one of these Karakas so that I can sacrifice it. Veteran Explorer is going to make this Cataclysm awkward, but my opponent might have fetched out all of their basics by the time this Cataclysm comes around, so it might actually be fine. Alright. I think I'm just going to try to dodge them, like, naturally hard casting Aluren for a turn, and then cast then I'll cast Cataclysm. I don't think I actually want to Wasteland them here. A lot of times they board out some number of Allurens for post-sideboard games and just, like, try to play a, like, fair, grindy attrition game like they did last game. So I'm just going to cast this. It's something I can keep post-Cataclysm, too. I'm going to sit here and just think for a couple of seconds like I'm going to, like, surprise block one of these and then not do it. Oh, why did I play that Wasteland? I specifically talked about using that Wasteland post-Cataclysm to take them off of mana. Micro misplay on my end. My god, the value I'm getting off of this Cataclysm. Wow, that's great. Please don't force me. Woo! So I guess at this point I'll keep the Wasteland. Keep a Vial. Keep the Honor of the Pure. Done. My opponent will, like, probably keep a Strix, a Deathrite, and I guess one of their basics. This person probably has a family. Not for long, they don't. Daddy Marin Crusader came home, and he's angry. He's got his little, thingy in hand, ready to beat some people. Our opponent made some sort of tactical error there. Yeah, I was aware that could happen, but the upside of Brimaz resolving was super huge. I can't Wasteland them. Yes, I should be attending Eternal Weekend. Why would I play Brimaz there? Because if I get to block with Brimaz there, create a cat, attack with Brimaz, create another cat, I think I'm in, like, awesome situation. I didn't think about the Caracas in my hand, which is something I should have considered. I don't think it matters too much that I lost the Brimaz there. Like, I'm going to attack my opponent for 9 this turn and then kill them the following turn. I'm going to go ahead and play the Relic. No, if my opponent has Aluren, I want to cast the Relic Warder. I will play out my land, though. Alright, so they've got a Recruiter. Yeah, I don't know if you can see it, but I have about 3.5 minutes left on my clock. So I'm making decisions very quickly. And unfortunately, I can't F6 because, like, my opponent can do things like play Leovold or cast Aluren that I actually care about. Ill with Phil. Sorry, I just saw your comment. I got a good laugh out of that. Yeah, I mean, when Aerial Responder lives against all of these mid-range decks and it can actually just connect, it does a ton of work. Like, it's very bad against Baleful Strix, which is why I don't play it more generally, and why I've maxed out on things like Mirren Crusader. But, like, here, it's holding back 2 Shardless. Opponent says, exciting times losing to bad Death and Taxes. I was going to, like, concede to them once they were dead on board, but not after a salty comment like that. Not bad, Death and Taxes. Deck's great. Maybe. Question mark. All right, folks, I've got one more round left. I'm going to go ahead and run to the restroom real quick, and then we'll play the last round. If you have any questions about the deck list, I know it's a little bit weird. Feel free to throw them in the chat, and I'll get to them in about a minute. All right, I'm back. All right, so good evening, everyone. My name's Phil Gallagher. I run ThrabenU University. Tonight we're playing an alternative D&T build. We're currently 1-3, not the best record here. We'll see if we can redeem ourselves a little bit and get another win here. Imminent ban needed. Probably. So thank you to those of you who auto-hosted me. I really do appreciate your support. You may or may not actually be able to hear that, but if so, thank you. Basic Plains, I did intend to concede to him when I presented him with lethal. But then he made a crack at me, so I didn't. If I'm playing out a league that that does not matter, like where I can't make cash, I want someone else to make cash. But you know, if you're gonna bad manner someone, then I'm not gonna scoop you. What do you think can replace Revoker in the main? This is another hand that just has like too many lands, but it's probably good enough that I can't toss it back. I've been testing a lot of different things to replace Revoker. I don't know if it's correct to get rid of it, but I haven't felt like it's been as good. So like I've been trying things like Selfless Spirit, Spirit of the Labyrinth. Of course, Phil draws more land. Why wouldn't he? I mean, if you're gonna main deck an enchantment, Honor of the Pure is probably the one to do. I think a lot of the others are just too narrow. Opponent fetched Volcanic Island against me and cast Preordain. Huzzah! My Wasteland is live. My hand now does something. I'm going to take this as an indication that my opponent is probably playing like Sneak and Show, and I'm going to get frisky with Mom. So again on 2 drops, like Selfless Spirit, Spirit of the Labyrinth, Honor of the Pure. Oh man, is my opponent left with nothing? Goody goody gumdrops. Draw Thalia? Draw Thalia? Alright, now. Blue-Red Delver doesn't usually play Preordain. Getting frisky with Mom is what I call it when Mom attacks. Okay. That was a little unexpected. Is Sneak and Show or Omni playing Stifle these days? Because I feel like the answer is no. Rug Delver with Preordain? I don't think we assume Stifle Not. I don't think we ever assume Stifle Not. I'm still going to keep playing like my opponent is on a show and tell deck, I think. But I think I'm going to lean towards them having Omniscience in their build as a major part of it. Opponent is taking way too long to think about this. Maybe they have another stifle. Still gonna try to get another card out of this, but this might just get stifled. But if that's the best they have to do with their life, that's okay. So I can just get Spirit, stop them from cantripping, or I can just get Flicker Wisp. That way if they do cast a Show and Tell, I can flicker out Omni. I kind of like that plan. And then if I draw another... maybe Spirit is just better. I can't cast it this turn, obviously. Who will win a fight, Perseus or Achilles? Achilles, easy. I can also just get Canonist, because that also does pretty well against Omniscience. And it leaves more Flicker Wisps in my deck for follow-up plays. It's also something that's pretty easily castable. Yeah, alright, I talked myself into Canonist. Oh no, I still despise Spirit. I still think Spirit's very bad. Like, think about how bad it was against Aluren, where it's supposed to be good, because my opponent plays, like, Brainstorms and Ponders and Baleful Strix, and I think it, like, prevented one card draw after being in play for, like, 7 turns or something like that. Just another upside of, like, getting Canonist over Flicker Wisp is that if I got a Flicker Wisp and my opponent had another Stifle and they put in Omniscience, they could stifle my Flicker Wisp trigger, whereas they can't stifle Canonist entering the battlefield. Alright, what are you bringing to class? Alright. It's about where I thought this was going to end up. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 damage. Alright, that's something. Alright. Can you win, opponent? You get to cast 1 card. Alright, you get to cast Grizzlebrand. And I can just Swords to Plowshares that. And you can't force me. Just to check real quick, if I attack in, they block Flicker Wisp, they only take 4, and if I Swords my own guy, that's not good enough to prevent lethal, so I just Swords the Grizzlebrand now. There seems to be a giant thing in play. I don't know what you're talking about. I see nothing. Other than that 10 mana enchantment, of course. You know, that goes without saying. Yay, I did it. This matchup's really hard, too. Alright. Priest in. Judgment Recruiter in. Relic Warder in. Swords to Plowshares out. What else do I have that's irrelevant? I can probably just like pull one random critter. I guess I want to keep like Pyroclasm and Kozilek's Return in mind, so pulling something that has 2 toughness is probably better than pulling something like Aerial Responder that has 3. But Mirran Crusader does have double strike, and that is not to be underestimated, so maybe I do just pull an Aerial Responder. Yeah, I like that. This hand looks awesome. I have double Vials, double Hate Bear, and a Wasteland. Oh, a Safekeeper? You mean Spirit Keeper? Yeah, Spirit Keeper could be a better pull than Aerial Responder, but Spirit Keeper does have 1 more point of power. Typical field draw for the night. Keep a 2 vial opener, draw 3rd vial. Are we doing any better this run? I mean, we started out 0-3, we won our last one, we're up a game in this one. We have good positioning in this one. So I guess, technically, yes. But, like, we're dead for prizes in this. No, if I'm just playing an experimental deck list, I usually finish out the league no matter what. With rare exceptions. Yes, I will test Damping Field or Dampening Field, whichever it is. I will test that card. I don't know that it's any better than, like, Canonist, for example, because Canonist is a creature. But I definitely want to try it. Why are the stifles still in? Are you that scared of Flicker Wisp? So confusing to me. Phil, do you have an opinion on the increasing use of 3D in anime, a la the stuff from Netflix? I don't mind it. Like, it's stylistically very different, but I think it ends up looking really good. I was watching one of the Amazon Prime shows recently, Land of the Lustrous, and that's a great example of how pretty some of that stuff can be. There's a lot of really cool visual effects done with, like, shining and shimmering and such that just might not be possible with, like, traditional animation. We're trying without Stoneforge Mystic in order to cut down on the number of times that we just get blown out and lose a lot of tempo. Alright, so what do I have for damage? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9 damage. Either way, very, very lethal next turn. So I'll hold Amon back. I do kind of suspect that the deck still needs Stoneforge Mystic. I just kind of have this feeling that mana sink is necessary, or I need to drop down some number of lands. Alright, what can you possibly show and tell that beats me? Probably nothing. Like, I can beat a Grizzlebrand, I can beat an Emrakul. I can probably even beat Omniscience. I can probably beat Omniscience and Kozilek's Return if I put in Hallowed Spirit Keeper now. So I will do so. Alright, so I just confirmed with my opponent that I had them dead, and then I conceded to them. What is my opponent's record? Doesn't matter. It's not dead, right? They're still playing, so I'm fine with giving them the win there. Okay, let's see. Since I built it this week, do you recommend? Yes, please, 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 if you just got this deck, please learn the regular version. Please learn the mono white Stoneforge Mystic version. I am kind of playing around with this deck and a couple other like odd strategies to see if there's anything to any of this stuff. Um, yes, so I recommend. So Junglebot, I recommend like playing a stock mono white build that has like a bunch of Crusaders or like has a split of like Crusader and Sarah Avenger. Just like learn how the deck works, learn how the interactions work, you know. Watch some of my videos of me just like playing regular D&T. There's a bunch up on my YouTube page, and like just kind of like learn the ropes, you know, play the regular deck for a year, and then if you feel like, you know what you're doing, then go and try some of the weird stuff like I'm doing. Yes, feel free to screenshot this. So I'll leave this up here for a minute, and then I'll show you some of my other mono white builds, and then I'll kind of do a debrief of today's stuff. Yes, I can link the YouTube page. I think this should take you here. It's not the prettiest link in the world, but that should get you to the right place. Okay, let me find another mono white build here. So this is a super stock mono white build. You know, no frills here. Very similar to the last one. This has Sarah Avengers and Mirren Crusaders as a split, but that might be like the only big difference between those two builds. Then I'd say there's one more regular like mono white D&T build, and that's a Wingmare build, where you play a large number of taxing effects, like and try to stack Thalia with Wingmare. I would say experiment with something within a card or two of one of those three builds to start things off with. In this build though, like maybe don't play 24 lands, maybe just like play the normal land suite. You know, like drop the 2 Ghost Quarters and the Horizon Canopies for the other ports, and for like there should be 23 lands, drop 1 for a port, drop 1 for a plains, and then throw 1 more creature into the mix somewhere. And that's probably better than anything else here. Is Palace Jailer not worth a 1-of? I replaced a Sarah Avenger with it. So Junglebot, what I'm going to tell you to do is start by playing with Palace Jailer, and I want you to keep track of how many times that Palace Jailer is winning you games and how many times that Palace Jailer is losing you games. Palace Jailer is what I call a high-risk, high-reward card. When Palace Jailer is really good, it absolutely takes over a game and it wins you that game single-handedly. But when Palace Jailer is bad, like your opponent takes the crown from you, and then you're woefully behind. So I'm not playing Palace Jailer personally right now, because I think it's very bad in a world where people are playing like things like Baleful Strix and Snapcaster Mage that are largely disposable, and they're also playing things like Young Pyromancer and True Name that kind of like are good against Palace Jailer. So I'm not playing one personally. Oh, to flip back to the deck list that I played tonight, let's go ahead and talk about that. So here's what we played tonight. My thoughts. I think we ran bad tonight. Let's undo that. I think we ran bad tonight, just like to be completely honest. Spirit Keeper did kind of nothing tonight, and that's fine. But in previous nights, it's been very good. Honor of the Pure was very good tonight. Did not regret having that card in my deck. I think if you want to play like an Honor of the Pure type build, you need to shave some lands. Like I just constantly flooded, and without equipment to like give me something to do with my mana, I just felt terrible. Like almost every game just felt abysmal where I drew more than 4 or 5 lands. I don't think this is better than regular D&T. I may continue to test things like it, but like just comparing it to this, if you flood with this deck, you have like Batterskull, Jitte, Sword of Fire and Ice as inevitability. You have Stoneforge Mystic activations you can do. And I think like hedging against flooding is one of the things that like the Stoneforge Mystic package secretly does really, really well. And that's not necessarily apparent initially. Like to a certain extent, I do agree that like there are some really bad tempo losses associated with Stoneforge Mystic. But at the same time, like, what am I going to do in the end game if not use equipment? And I don't have an answer to that right now. Ever consider loading up on Banisher Priests and Fiend Hunters and similar removal creatures? It could be interesting. I've played a few in the past. It's just awkward though, because if you want to go and play those sorts of things, you have to protect them, right? Otherwise they go poorly. And Mom wants to be protecting more important things, like, say, Thalia or Mirren Crusader, not your thing that is exiling, you know, some small critter. So, like, I think there are times to run those cards. I don't know that that's right now. Is Mangara well positioned right now? I don't particularly think so. I think there are too many things that dodge Mangara and too many value-oriented cards that Mangara isn't great against. Right? So, like, if your opponent is trying to win the game with, like, Snapcaster Mages and Baleful Strix, and you want to, like, try to Mangara their threats out of there, that seems like a poor proposition, right? You're eating up a ton of your resources to just get rid of something that cantripped. Similarly, like, your Grixis Delver deck is playing things that can go wide of that, like Young Pyromancer, and things that can just dodge it, like True Name Nemesis. So I don't think I'm on board with Mangara right now. What about Figure of Destiny as a mana sink? I don't like Figure of Destiny if we're going to be playing 8 colorless lands. That's kind of like an I am playing literally all planes sort of card. So, there are other things I can try, but I'll probably just go back to playing either some red-white taxes or some regular D&T for my next couple of streams. I don't particularly feel like what I'm doing here is better than other things I could be doing. Like, it's possible I should take some elements from this deck and incorporate them into D&T. Like, it's possible that I should put some Honor of the Pures in the sideboard, or it's possible that I should run a 1-of Spirit Keeper in the place of, like, one of my Crusaders or something like that. But I don't know that I want to continue pursuing this line of thought. Luminarch Ascension. Luminarch Ascension is really slow by Legacy standards. That's something I already thought of. But I think the decks like Checkpile and Delver and such can just like pressure you just enough to keep you off of that. Like it's the sort of thing you can see coming, right? And what are you gonna do? Like keep in removal in post sideboard games to try to turn Luminarch Ascension on? I don't know about that. I don't really think I like Jihad as a card here. If I was gonna do something like that, I'd probably just play like, isn't there a 4 or a 5 mana one that just gives all your creatures +3/+3 and it also has like flash? if I was gonna like go that over the top, I think I'd just go with that and just like play the super haymaker card. I forget what it's called. Yes, Dictate of Heliod. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah, like if I was gonna go like real big on the Anthem effect and do something that was more mana, I'd play that. Like that makes Mirran Crusader a 2-turn clock on its own. All right. So stream started a little later than normal tonight and ran a little later than normal, but that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and wrap things up here. My regular stream times are every Monday and Wednesday at about 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. We're mostly going to be playing D&T and decks of that nature on this channel. And if you enjoyed my content tonight, please follow. And if you really like it and what I'm doing, feel free to subscribe. There is a website paired with my channel. It's ThrabenU University. So for those of you just starting up D&T or looking to learn, that's a great place to go. I put up a new article there today, or maybe yesterday at this point. It's a little blurry. It was a guest tournament report by one of my friends, and check it out if you got some time. Makes sense. What about Angelic Destiny? I would consider playing Angelic Destiny. I think Angelic Destiny is a very, very, very good card with Mirran Crusader. But again, it's a 4-mana card, which is not where you want to be by Legacy standards. But in the matchups where like you have some unkillable cards, that is a real consideration. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and call it here. Thanks, folks. I hope you enjoyed. Have a good night.